and YouTube to catch up with each other for this live streaming. And I'll just pause and let YouTube and Riverside link up. And basically, in a way, we're hitting the play button on this live stream in the midst of a conversation regarding how we're both having challenging days, and perhaps you might be having a challenging day even if you're watching this recording. But what I promise you is, when we talk to Kathy Joy here, in real terms, you'll receive a breath of joy. This is going to be a positive and encouraging conversation, even though we're going to be very real about our journey with pain, with grief, our worries, our stress, as well as our journey with resilience. And actually, on that note, Kathy, let me ask you, where is your resilience right now? How would you describe it?
If I were to put it on a meter, I would put it at a very firm 3.5. That's from a scale to 0 to 10.
Yeah.
So it's low, it's tanking. I have resilience, but how am I experiencing life right now? It is difficult. I texted a friend just today and I said, I'm on the struggle bus.
The struggle bus. I haven't heard that term before. And one of the things I remember being struck by when you and I first met this past summer through Cadre was your vernacular, the words that you use, your resilience language, your pain language, your encouragement language is wonderful, and it's unique in a very refreshing way. But to be real, thank you for that honest answer. 3.5 resilience. I'll put mine, I'd say, at a determined 7, because I'm very determined. You know me, I talk about being a line of intentionality when it comes to being resilient with the daily pain. But what struck me, Kathy, was how you did say something that's so true, and it's true of each of you watching. You're resilient. You've got resilience. Everything you've experienced up until this moment has been feeding and shaping your own unique resilience. And yet we can have and will have, especially in our journeys, which might include real adversity, that we're exhausted. And it might feel as though, and Kathy, would you agree that maybe your resilience is 3.5, partially because of a level of exhaustion or lack of energy?
Definitely.
May I ask you, what do you need?
I need someone to sit with the discord. And I am blessed enough to have people who will do that for me. What I mean by that, Rick, is when I reach out to somebody on a day like this, where I'm carrying some ambiguous grief, some preemptive grief over someone who's still very much with us, my mom. However, I'm seeing a sharp decline. And so as I carry that burden and think about the imminent loss of her, I need friends who will sit with the discord, sit inside the pain next to me, please. One of the great theologians, Pooh Bear, responded to Piglet in such a tender way. Piglet says to Pooh Bear, "Oh, Pooh Bear." And Pooh leans down and says, "Yes." And Piglet says, "Nothing. I just wanted to be sure of you."
To be sure of you.
In the resilience picture, we are indeed really fortunate and blessed if we have a tribe of friends who will sit with us and allow us to be sure of them. And that can mean sitting in silence. It can mean bringing a meal, but it doesn't have to be a robust conversation. It doesn't have to be an essay on how I'm going to get through it. It's a quiet, steady presence, and I cherish that.
For those of you who may be watching live, or if you're watching the recording now, you see what I mean by how Kathy is a breath of joy. Kathy Joy is with us, and hello. Thank you so much for being here, Kathy. I've been looking forward to our conversation for a long time. We've been looking forward to this. Tell us a bit about yourself. You're an author. You're a writer. You're a published author, a poet. You're an encourager. And there's something that was just included in that comment about Pooh Bear. There's a confidence in that quietness. Tell us more about you.
Thank you, Rick. I had a teacher, God love her. I think I was in the fourth grade. It was a tender age. I remember her looking at me and saying, Kathy, did you know that you have a writer's heart? I will always remember that because she sparked in me possibility. She liked my poems. She entered me in anything that had essays. In fact, she oversaw some of my education as I went forward because she wanted to make sure I'd keep my pen moving in a creative way. What a wonderful presence in my life at a tender age. I began writing, not for publishing, for more decades to come. However, knowing that I have a writer's heart carried me through my marriage, through raising our kids, through a couple of moves across the country, and then finally to me landing as a widow. And that is where the writing began. Uh, Many creatives will tell you, and I think you know this yourself, Rick, that the creativity is drawn from the depths. It comes from the pain. It jiggles up in the time of being bereft and in grief, and the creativity comes up. If I might, I'd like to give another poem that I memorized.
Please.
It's about the activity of grief. And in this picture and in this conversation, it informs us how we can have a capacity for joy and color and creativity, even after or in the midst of grief or anguish. Sorrow with his pick mines the heart. Oh, but he is a cunning workman. With his pick, he etches out caverns, deep caverns, where joy will abide when he is gone.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's powerful, and it is creative. And now, friends, whether you're watching live or watching the recording, you see one of the reasons why Plan to Be Your Best Live exists is to create moments like this that are positive, encouraging for you. That carving out creates a void, doesn't it?
Yes,
And
it does. And it's our choice how we will fill that void. Will we fill it with vitriol or resentment or a spirit of bitterness or unforgiveness? Or will we fill it with life and light? Nothing shallow, but the deep, abiding joy of having meaning in our lives. For me, it's spiritual. And so I go to my Bible to be informed about who I am and what my mission is while I'm earthbound. Uh, the Bible is my stability. There is a verse uh, that I love, and I can't give you the chapter and the verse. I thought I could, but it says, "Pay attention to my words, incline your ear to my teachings, and keep them in the midst of your heart, because they're life and they are health to your flesh."
the kinds of words which include wisdom, which include conviction, which include love, does give life. It creates positive energy, the kind of energy that we need, especially when we're going through tough times.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. The idea, I want to come back to that confidence that Pooh Bear was talking about again, just to revisit that. As you talk about, as we're having this conversation, and we both were honest with each other that we're having tough days in our own respective ways today. Kathy's resilience, she said, was 3.5. What's it like for you to talk about the honesty of that 3.5, and even then talk about some of this poetry, talk about things that do feed us with that joy? What's it like for you?
It's an immense relief to be on a podcast where you welcome real grit, where you welcome honest feelings to be expressed. And I thank you for having that posture in your podcast. It means a lot. And I'm sure it means a lot to your listeners and viewers, for sure. Because if we're lacking anything in this world, I think many times it's authenticity. Um, I don't know if this just is just American in nature or if it's global, but we tend to put a quick fix on things and then move ahead.
Mhm.
And that's not serving anybody. And I'm not throwing shade on anybody. People are quick and eager to help, but quick fixes are shallow and they don't go to the real wound. So, first of all, it feels really great to be able to confess that my meter is running low on the resilience level. But because of the stability I have and the tribe of friends that I have, and the access to poetry and the theater and the arts and great, rich music, I have something to fall back on and to find strength in. So that when I have a low day, it doesn't take me down. It just helps me look around and say, ah, who will sit with the discord? Who, like Pooh and Piglet, will sit together and just be sure of each other? That's what we need. Because really, at the end of the day, we're all walking each other home.
Ah, that's a beautiful way to put it. And when your need is heightened for some of that joys, that use of your own creativity, your writing, what are you more likely to do? Reread what you've already written and maybe even published, or to write something new.
Reread,
Ah, yes.
revisit something that's been published, whether it's me or another author. I don't know, there's something reassuring about a truth you've already penned or written or lived, and to revisit that.
I'd say this year more than ever before in my life, and I've been navigating pain for 50 years now. I've never understood or realized more profoundly the value in going back and rereading something that I've journaled, even if it was from yesterday or even decades ago.
You are speaking my language.
Ah, yeah,
You are, because sorry to interrupt, but I got real excited right there because about 3 days ago, I grabbed a pile. I wish I had it for a visual right now. Pile of journals from over the years and went to my favorite coffee shop. It's across the street from where I live. And I had this huge Mary Poppins bag full of various and sundry journals. And I started gleaning. The only word I could think of was gleaning,
yeah,
going through and picking up what I wanted to keep or repurpose or have a moment of recognition. This is who you were when you wrote that.
yeah.
This is what you experienced, and here is how you survived.
I'm so glad and I'm glad this is being recorded because the way you just put that captures exactly the goodness that's in rereading it. It's where we were, it's how we
Mhm.
survived, it's what we were doing, something that I think is profoundly important in terms of what everything that we're talking about of what you do, Kathy. You're creating, you're taking, and sometimes even creating from a very, maybe even a dark and very painful place. You're creating, and that has a way of filling those carved out areas with joy. Let me ask you. In fact, one of the questions I had for you was, when did you begin your writing? If I heard you correctly, it was after the passing of your husband.
Yes, my husband Roger died very suddenly and unexpectedly in 2008. Prior to that, he was one of my best cheerleaders, and to the point where he had been planning, and I believe he even started the blueprint to build me a studio just for my writing.
Yeah,
And it was going to be a very unusual studio because I love anything having to do with lake life or being at a shore. And he wanted to build a studio lighthouse where I could sit in the top like a lighthouse keeper and let the light shine down on my manuscript, is the way he said it. And that's part of his legacy, is that he championed the cause for creativity in my life. He was a frugal German policeman, law enforcer, uh, facts oriented, thinking inside the box, and yet he gave me space to be creative, to be random, to be impulsive,
Yeah.
and to write things the way that I saw life. So after he died, I don't think it was a conscious effort, but I began writing because it was my go to. It was my survival. It was my tether to his memory. And it was his voice over me saying, "You've got this. You can do this. And you can write the words that you're longing to hear."
As I'm listening to you, I'm actually thinking of asking you, and I think I just heard it. What would you say to others to encourage them not only in their grief, the whatever the pain points may be, to encourage them to both just and for the sake of encouragement, but also to be creative with their own writing, even no matter what quality of writing they have, or a gift or inclination for it. How do you encourage them? And I love how there's that message that you just shared. You've got this. That's encouraging. What more would you say?
I think anybody who holds a pen and has a blank sheet of paper can write their thoughts. Many people become authors, and this doesn't mean you're going to become an author or that you desire to become one. But I've talked to at least two people who've published books because they couldn't find the one that spoke to them. They couldn't find the message they wanted, so they wrote it themselves. Interesting. Speaking out of their grief and pain and experience, they began penning something that would help not only them, but others. Now, that's one side of that spectrum. The real jewel is that you write it down. It doesn't matter if it's published, it is for you. It doesn't have to be grammatically correct, and it doesn't have to be checked for grammar. I just said that, grammatically correct. It has to be from your heart, and it is cathartic. It
Mhm.
truly, truly is. I think writing in a journal, even randomly, even not daily, but putting your raw thoughts down is just as vital as going to a counselor.
It's release. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on that? It's release.
Mhm. It's release. It gets it out of your head, out of this complicated place that is the human heart, and onto paper so that you can look at it and realize you're going to survive. It's this wiggly resolve that, yes, I can survive this, and it will remold me
Mhm.
because grief reshapes us, and it will
So
make me deeper, more understanding and empathetic to others.
it's as if to say, and what I'm hearing you say, and as I think about it for myself, if I'm thinking it and I'm writing it, I've got this. It's an exercise in declaring my confidence, no matter how much I'm hurting, even if the tears are flowing. If I can
Even if
express
the
it,
tears. Mhm. And Rick, you are a list maker. I know that about you, my friend. And I would suggest to the griever or the person struggling with life, a person of any age, any stage, any capacity for writing or not, I would suggest you make a list. That's maybe more doable. And it could be list of things I want to do to this is just me thinking out loud. List of ways I want to nurture myself. What a powerful list. What a powerful affirmation that you deserve some self-care. And if you sit there and you get your little piece of paper, your napkin at the restaurant, whatever scrap of paper you have, or your journal, and if you write, go to a show. Take yourself somewhere. If you're single, just go somewhere. That is life giving. Um, go buy my favorite chocolate. Just things to nurture yourself. They seem simple. However, they might carry you through a day or a portion of a day until you come up for air and take a pause and take a deep breath. A list can be really fun. I have one of my favorite books on my bookshelf. It's right over there, 14,000 Things to Be Happy About. I love to read and reread. It's highlighted, it's dog-eared. There are things in there like the little strip of red on the Band-Aid. When you pull the Band-Aid out, that's things to be happy about. The sound of a child laughing. I would say write your own list, maybe things you're grateful for, or read a list of gratitude. Gratitude is that upside down thing that counteracts our losses.
Thank you so much for that. And let me just point out, this is actually, you're illustrating a very important part of what Plan to Be Your Best is all about. It's not prescriptive. It is a series of steps, things to do, questions to talk about, exercises to basically find your way through whatever challenging difficulty that you're experiencing. And in effect, what is creating lists? It's planning. It's one way to plan to be your best.
Plan
I,
to be your best. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. What was the first book? You were nice enough to send me this one, which I absolutely love. Breath of Joy. This might be a mirrored effects. I'm not sure if it's reading right, but Autumn, Kathy Joy.
The
Was this your first?
very first book was Simply Summer.
Yes.
So the first time I came into a season of writing to be published, my editor suggested summer because we were approaching that season. So Simply Summer, and this was not necessarily quick, this process, but over the course of, I would say, about 5 years, I got the 4 books published. Simply Summer, and then the one you're holding, Breath of Joy, Autumn. And then the next one, Breath of Joy, Winter Whispers. And then finally, in the 4-part seasonal series, Breath of Joy, Singing Spring.
The lightness in you, the positivity, the joy in you that I see and hear in your voice as you talk about, it's so palpable. It's there, and I can tell not only that that's what it does for you, it does that for the reader. I keep going back to this. There are certain pages that I particularly enjoy, and each page, just so that everyone knows, for example, it's poetic. It's the beautiful photography and illustrations and so forth, and thing. And virtually every page has something that you can connect with. The idea, and let me try. I'm going to turn to one. For example, this one, which this one is beautiful. It's of a flock of geese going across the sky, and it's almost as if you can just take time with every word. Geese, black zigzag, stitches sewing up the sky. And it just brings you into the moment and reflects your joy, Kathy. So each of these are gifts. But again, what's really striking me is the way what it's bringing out of you to talk about it. Tell me more about how you feel right now.
There's no greater compliment for an author to have her words read back to her. Thank you for that. My cousin, who lives in the state of Delaware, deals with chronic pain. You know a little bit about that. He told me that my books help with pain management. That made me feel a certain way. And what I mean is a good way, because I understood in that moment that my cousin will go and find a sunny spot and sit with one of my books to reflect and perhaps take his mind off the pain he's experiencing, and perhaps on a good day do it without medication. He doesn't want to manage his pain solely with medication. And I'm not saying my books eliminate pain. I'm saying they help carry you through it. And that was an unusual message to me. Of all the messages I've had from my readers, I never thought of a book of reflection and recovering joyful pockets throughout the day could actually help mitigate physical pain.
What we focus on is what we experience. And what happens when I focus on each page of your book, for example, with that, it's the same kind of focus that I might have if I was beside a stream, a river, or the ocean.
Mhm.
I'm actually able to focus on something other than the pain. And actually, sometimes even in that distraction, even in that more quiet moment, quieting the mind, I've actually, it helps do what pain has a horrible way of doing. It hijacks our focus, saps our energy, and frustrates our hope. And this is where the 3 steps of resilience comes in. To tune in, what do I need, plan, and be my best. One thing that we can do is to plan to, and then open up, be my best, and open up your book and spend time on, even if it's just 1 or 2 pages. I will admit, Kathy, since the seventh surgery in 2019, I've had a profoundly difficult time reading a book. Sitting and immersing myself in something for longer than several minutes is challenging. Dealing with so much stress, never knowing when the next blast of agony is going to come. But to open up a book like yours, and I can immerse myself in the beautiful photographs, the imagery, and just a few words at a time, there's that wonderful distraction that takes me away and and is comforting. It is part of pain management. It is exactly that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Why did you write these books? Why did what and has each book brought out a different reason for writing?
I wrote at the encouragement of my friends. These little pithy sayings and celebrations were appearing on my Facebook. I would write them each day, and I called it Kathy Joy's Everyday Celebrations. I actually got a little pushback from well meaning people who said, "How can you be so happy? You just lost your husband." And here you are writing things on your Facebook that express joy. And Rick, I had to process that, and it took me a long time to come to the realization perhaps they had not experienced supreme loss, or they simply thought you had to be sad. And I think life is an odd and heady mix of sad and happy and disappointed and elated and hopeful. It is a mix, and it's never linear. And if gratitude is what keeps us tethered to life, then by golly, I'm going to write down 3 things a day I'm grateful for. And if I think it might encourage my friends on social platforms, then yes, I'll write them. So I continued even through what might have felt a little bit like criticism, because everybody's different and we all experience pain and loss differently. For me, it made sense to have expressions of gratitude. And that's how I started, was writing these. And so friends would say, "These should be in a book. You should put these in a book." Rick, I had no idea how that was going to happen, because going from concept to book can be a kind of a difficult path. But there was provision all along the way, and an editor reached out to me, a friend of mine from Colorado, and she said, "I have an independent group of writers, and I would dearly love to add you." And she said, "I have a layout artist who knows what to do with photographs. And I think if we put your poetry with the right images, this book would be so unusual in the marketplace." She had me, and that's how I started.
Great story. And you make such an important point, Kathy, for anyone who's experiencing whatever kind of pain, whether it's constant pain, flashes of agony like I experience, or grieving, or just excessive stress. The importance of having people understand is is great. That's a powerful need. And listening to you, it's almost as if I might modify the thought this way. It's not so much that people need to understand exactly what you're going through, but understand how unique your experience with pain and grieving and stress is.
Mhm.
Someone like Kathy can understand how unique your pain journey is, how unique your resilience journey is. I can as well. The and so it is there's I often tell a story of one particular as a resilience coach. One particular person came to me and said, "Rick, I just need someone to understand. I need people. He wants everyone to understand." And in a way, no one can truly know what he's experiencing. No one can truly know what you're experiencing, but we can. Those of us who have our own unique and journeys with some kind of pain and grieving can understand how unique yours is. That's powerful.
And that's why it's important to sit with the discord and to sit in meaningful silence with somebody to give them space to experience it the way they do.
Yes, right.
There is no template. There is no template. You're right. Everyone's unique.
There's one particular chapter in the book that begins with there's no perfection in pain management. There's no perfection in resilience, but it's in the living through it, there's processing it, practicing different ways that find your way of going through it, bringing life, bringing it forward, that your best becomes better, and then get to the point where you're able to say, I now see how my best is greater than the pain, and my best days are ahead of me. What? So we started, Kathy. This is I've got so much more, and I can always talk to you all afternoon. But this is not at all to conclude, but thinking, all right, we started this conversation off. You got a 3.5 with your resilience, mine maybe 7.5% in a sort of a determined, adamant way, trying to say that's where I am, even when in a week that's been exhausting and utterly painful. But where are you now, and what do you look ahead to for the hours and days ahead regarding your resilience, regarding everything that you're
Mm.
working
I'm over a 5 now. I can feel it jiggling up into my spirit and psyche that having spent some time with a friend on your podcast and with your listeners and viewers, I feel energized. I feel hopeful. And my plan is this afternoon, I have an appointment. It's a standing monthly appointment with my massage therapist, Pam. And she is lovely. And since the body holds the story, uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
I think in a medical physical way, when we have um, our bodies massaged for the relief, it's such a great idea. No matter what kind of physical pain you may experience or what kind of shape you're in, it helps. And so I have gifted myself that luxury. In fact, I'm no longer going to call it a luxury, Rick. It's a necessity. It's a necessity for self care, necessary thing, and I love it. That's one thing on the agenda. And the other thing is, I'm going to give myself grace. I am not going to feel overwhelmed by the schedule that's sitting in front of me. I have 2 writing deadlines. Do you know what I did this morning, Rick? I took one off the table.
Ah,
I called that dear lady at the magazine. I said, "I'm not gonna make deadline." And she said, "That's okay. We'll catch you next time." And the world did not cave in. We do not have to carry all the weight. We can take some of it, take it off our shoulders and put it down, and it's gonna be all right. What an epiphany. I had another epiphany, if we have time. Thank you. I learned recently, I'd say in the last 2 weeks, that less is more. And I'm so glad to know that. And I'm still processing it because it's a fresh realization. I had been walking 5 miles a day with my friend Rose, and she is a go getter. She's feisty, she's funny, she talks as fast as she walks, and she walks really fast, full of energy. My goal since August, so we're talking 6 months plus, my goal has been to keep up with Rose. And I simply cannot. You know who helped me realize it? My foot doctor. He looked at me in the eyes. I went for a consult. I said, "My feet hurt." He said, "Can I tell you something?" He said, "Everyone's different. You do not have to do 5 miles, and you do not have to go at the pace of your coach. Less is more." He said, "I'm going to ask you to reduce your walking from 5 to 2 or 2.5, and you let me know how you feel because you still get a benefit. You're still working your lungs, you're still moving your body, but you're no longer pummeling your feet. You're no longer asking your body to give more than it has the capacity to give." He very wisely said, "There will come a day when your body says, 'I can't do this for you anymore.'" He said, "I don't want you to get to that point because then you're going to be spending your time on pain management. You'll be going to therapists." He said, "Exercise should never lead to more uh, medical interventions. Exercise should prevent them." And it was one of the best consults I've ever had. So I drew it back. And the most courageous thing I did was ask Rose if we could cut it back a little. She said, "Absolutely. Why didn't you speak up before?"
Oh, that's priceless, Kathy. I'm thinking of how trying to keep up with Rose might be the title of a good book. Yeah, yeah.
I think so. Because isn't that a word picture for what we all do? I got to keep up with Rose. I've got to do better. I've got to do more. I've got to go longer. When really that is not necessary. We set ourselves up for more stress. Plan to be your best can mean dialing it back, being realistic, and still getting a great benefit.
A word of encouragement to you, my friend who's watching. Kathy just outlined a number of wonderful things that in her resilience toolkit. First of all, she took something off of her plate that was feeling like the weight of the world. She was exercising something that's so important, creating boundaries so that you're not overwhelmed. Because sometimes when the pain is really overwhelming, one next thing, whatever it might be, can be too much. It might not be a deadline to submit something to a magazine. It might be something even to get together with a friend. Being able to say no empowers your yes. And it's important to have those boundaries. But also more things in Kathy's resilience toolkit, going for walking, having a coach, going for a massage. And as I was thinking about that, Kathy, the what you experienced through the massage is similar, but in a different way, of what you experience with your writing. It's a matter of release.
Yes. Yes. Isn't it curious that the industry of writing, the act of sitting in front of my typewriter, is engaging ultimately to the reader, but it's isolated and lonesome for the writer. And so writing is something I've had to dial back a bit just so that I can remember to re enter the human race and be with people and not be too isolated. Have you ever experienced that as you write your book?
Yes, yes. And as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about this book that I just received from a good friend of mine, Perry. Um, the idea, and let me see if I have it within reach. Stephen King wrote it. And there's one particular line in which he refers to how the poet, just as you are a poet, this poet knew exactly what she's trying to express. And two thoughts struck out uh, with me, stood out with me about that. One is sometimes I'm not really quite sure if my words are reflecting what I'm trying to express. I know it's in me. There's something golden though when it does capture what I'm trying to express, and to a great extent, the whole writing. And does this answer your question? Working on the book is an exercise in trying to get right everything that I'm trying to express about my journey with pain, how I help other people with pain through encouragement, how other people can find their way to strengthen their unique resilience, um, and so that I'm not wasting the pain. I'm not wasting what I've learned about how anyone can grow their resilience on an ongoing basis. Does actually pause? Does that answer your question?
It sure does. Absolutely. Because I think writing is a release and it is connection. Um, there's a balance, I suppose, just like anything, but it is a way of using your pain to repurpose it to help others. And so staying at the task is important, but coming up for air is just as important.
Yeah, and actually, there's that word really wanted to come back to. Part of the effort is not just in being able to accurately express resilience, a pain journey, how to thrive, and so forth, how to listen to yourself better, how to be in a moment of pain and move that pain forward. But it's to your point, to create a connection with the reader so that when they're in their moment, quiet moment, reading it, they can tell that I see you, and to create a connection.
Mhm.
That's one of the things that I love about Autumn with your book. Virtually, you can connect with not only every page, with but also with you. And those are your thoughts. We I'm connecting with you with every page
Mm,
that I read, every
mm,
every line that I read. And and there's something about looking at the photographs. Some of them you just can't help but spend time with and take it in and put yourself in that place. Pardon, I don't know if you hear the chiming of that clock. It's an
I
old,
have a cuckoo clock.
ah, it's a 1955 Seth Thomas. He used to belong to my dad's parents in Pelham, New York, and
Wonderful.
it's works great. So many years later, I'm trying to find a way to get the hour to catch up with, and keeping the hour hand in
Mhm.
the mix. But let me just check to see if others are sharing any particular thoughts as we're continuing to be live. We'll wrap up in several more minutes. Let me just pause, Kathy, and ask. So um, you're near the border of northern Pennsylvania, southern western New York. Where are you, and how can people connect with you?
I love to tell people I'm in the chimney of Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
If you look at a map, there's something that looks like a chimney,
yeah.
and there goes my cuckoo clock.
So it means
And so I'm up in the northwest corner bordering New York and Ohio, and I'm along the shore of Lake Erie. And Lake Erie is experiencing a lot of drama right now. We've had high winds today, and we've had one heck of a winter. It started in November. It arrived in December with teeth in it, and the plows began materializing. And we finally had what we like to call our January thaw.
mm,
And we had 50-degree weather this week, but now we're getting ready for another snowstorm. All this to say, what was I leading up to? Oh, where I live. Lake Erie has had really big waves, like ocean size waves, to the point where I called my friend. I said, let's go look at the waves. We haven't done it yet, but we want to take a drive and just drive up and stay in the car and look at these huge waves pummeling the shoreline. It's amazing. I love living near water. I think it is necessary to my existence. I have to be near water. If I can be near a harbor, even better. And I am. So there's the Erie Harbor, and it has something that looks like a lighthouse. It's called Dobbins Landing. and it's a wonderful destination. There are different kind of boats, including the Scallywag, which has pirates in costume, of course, and they have like an adult cocktail party, and you sail out into the open waters. And they have kids parties too, where the pirates do all their silly swashbuckling and they say walk the plank, and it's just delightful. I've even entertained the thought of being a character on that boat, but I don't know. It's fun to think about. We have the Victorian Princess, which has a big paddle wheel on the back. It's very elegant and uh, very refined, and you can dine on the boat and watch the sunset. I'm absolutely enamored with where I live, and I've been here for 11 years now. So I've been in different regions of Pennsylvania, and living near the water is wonderful. Even with the snow, it's all right because I think I'd rather live in a seasonal climate than one that's the same all year round.
Mhm. I'm going to include the contact information for how you can reach Kathy for learning about her books. I'll include at least one or two links for. Are all of your books on Amazon?
Yes, they are.
Okay,
And
very
Barnes and
good.
Noble, pretty much wherever you might order books. And you can go in regular stores and ask for them. The reason I even mention that is if you ask for a book, sometimes the bookseller will put it on their shelves because now they're aware of it. And now they know there's a request for the book. And it
Yeah.
gets me into physical bookstores.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Also, and let me put this in the form of a question. You speak.
Mhm.
Why do you speak? What do you hope to accomplish every time you're in front of an audience?
My favorite audience is women, and I love to encourage them. I think women are being empowered in ways that are not always serving them well. And I want to relate to them as a woman who's been through a lot. I wrote down some of my speaking titles. One is Living with the Mysteries and being able to embrace what we don't know and being well with that. One of them is When the Kids Don't Come Home. It's a delicate topic, but it's one that many, many parents are living with when their kids have canceled them. How do we navigate that? The quiet art of witnessing is one of my favorite topics, and that's being present. Rick, you and I had a conversation recently about how sometimes a day passes, and at the close of the day, it feels like a prayer.
Yeah.
To silently and mindfully, intentionally witness the day is an art, and it's a lost art, and it gets lost because of social platforms, which in and of themselves are not bad. It's just that they suck us in and they draw us away from the simplicity of watching a bird. I see one right outside my window at the feeder. They draw us away from just hearing what the wind sounds like when it's howling, which it's doing right now. And so the quiet art of witnessing. The God Who Sees Me is one of my favorites. That's Elroy, the God Who Sees Me, based on the life of Hagar, who basically, Hagar, I looked it up, it means forsaken in Hebrew. And so she was exiled to the wilderness. She was a surrogate mom, an outcast, and yet God saw her. And her story is so unbelievably encouraging about, suffering and then blessing and then courage and then injustice corrected over time. So there are several topics. I do address men's and women's groups. I've even gone into conflict management in the workplace. That's when I was working,
Mhm.
when I was actually in the workforce myself. So there are many topics. I try to keep my antenna out and see what the buzz is and see if there's a certain take that maybe I have that hasn't been expressed. I don't know if I should say this out loud in public, but I'm going to. It is my dream to be on a TEDx, which is a local TED Talk, and then ultimately to be on the TED stage. I would really love to do that, but we're talking big time people that do that. And I'm like, well, if I plan to be my best, then I
Mhm.
can put that goal on my list and walk towards it.
You'll do that, Kathy. You'll absolutely do that, and you'll be a gift to everyone every step of the way.
Thank you.
So that's a wonderful range of topics, and the kind of range that lets any group basically say, what do we need this week, or what do we need to talk about this month, and bring you, Kathy, in to connect with us and to help us process and walk through each of the challenges that we might be experiencing. And how can people reach you online? Do you have, well, you mentioned Facebook. Is there a certain web page?
I have my blog page is probably my best so-called web page, which is coffeewithkathy.cafe.
Yeah.
Coffeewithkathy.cafe cafe. And my blogs are there, and there are links, or should be in the near future, like after this podcast, on how you can reach me for a speaking engagement. I'm on Facebook. I have two Facebooks. One is Kathy Joy. I invite anyone to find me there, and the other one is Kathy Joy's Everyday Celebrations, and that is actually my marketing page, where I have at the top of it in the banner that I'm a speaker, that you can reach out to me, uh, all my information, and I usually encourage people to contact me, and then we go from there. Um, I've noticed, this is a recent discovery, that I can sync my platforms. So when I post something on my Facebook, it goes to my Instagram. So I'm at Instagram at Capture Soup. Capture and then soup. If you want to find me on Instagram. I've just learned about Threads.
Yeah.
So I'm exploring that. I'm not on there yet, but I'm sure it's easy to do. I think I just start writing, and then I have a thread. And then if people want to follow me, that's great. So there are myriad ways to reach me, including through Plan to Be Your Best with Rick Cram.
Absolutely. I'll include all of the links down below. You used a word just now that has been ringing through my head profoundly for the past several days. I was lying down in a lot of pain and adamantly encouraging myself, and I wrote down, there's no secret to how to feed your resilience, but there are discoveries. There's no secret to it. I mean, the information, and basically, when I first created Plan to Be Your Best for a corporate client about 13 or so years ago, I did my research, everything you might want to know about um, resilience and pain management and so forth. It's all out there. Don't, to say, when people, marketers will say, tune into my webinar and I'll give you these secrets. Be careful. That's a marketing ploy. I've compiled it all, and it continues to evolve. But through the process, there are discoveries, and you discover more about yourself. You discover something about a new next moment, how to progress into the next moment and thrive there. And those discoveries are aha. And those discoveries are sources of energy. Those discoveries are what makes the effort all worthwhile. So I'm just curious, love to know your thoughts on that, Kathy.
Well, you just use a wonderful word that's in my vocabulary. That's the word curious.
Yeah.
You said, I'm just curious. That is such a lovely word in the marketplace. When you are leaning into a conversation and you want to know about someone, you can say, I'm curious. How many kids did you say you have? And you open up this wonderful conversation, and who knows where it will go. Curiosity is such an agent of change and connection and openness. And so I say, arrive at each day with a sense of curiosity, with just actually a sense of anticipation that you will discover something. Plan to be your best is something we can plan for. We can't plan for how tomorrow will unfold. We cannot plan for the phone call we're going to get with disturbing news. We can't plan for the surprise package that's lovely that arrives on our doorstep, or for the call from a friend that you haven't heard from. We can't plan for the good, bad, and mediocre, but we can plan to be our best. And to do that, I think to have a sense of curiosity, find ways to keep conversations going or to open them up, and have an anticipatory, isn't that a great word? Anticipatory bent or posture for what you might discover.
There's a beautiful confidence in that, Kathy. The same kind of confidence we can have in hope, as the good book says, and hope does not disappoint. That curiosity is part of what comes from strengthening of character through the course of adversity. To basically go back to that first initial emotion that we all have, that babies have, we see it in them, that curiosity. Just as hope does not disappoint, neither does curiosity.
Mm-mm.
That's beautiful.
Emily Dickinson wrote, "Hope is the thing with feathers that perches on the soul."
Right. You've touched our souls, Kathy, today. Thank you so much for your joy, your encouragement, your wisdom as well, and your creativity. It shines through everything that we've been talking about. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rick. And when your book is published, I want an autographed copy.
You got it. You got it. Is there any last concluding word that might sum up what is there a theme from today's conversation that you'll take with you?
What I've picked up from today is that we are complex beings, but the simplicity of what we need is connection, hope, encouragement. And you, in your demeanor, knowing you as a friend and seeing your podcast, you address us, body, mind, and spirit, the whole person. So I encourage everyone listening to this and watching this podcast to just go and be human today. That is all that should be on our agenda. We need to plan, sure. We need to consult our phones and see where we have to be and at what time. But in the doing of it, can we just be human? You've allowed me to do that on this podcast, and I'm forever grateful. It has recalibrated my day.
No, that lifts me up, Kathy. Thank you so much. Talking to you every time lifts me up. And when I say to you, and I say it to you watching as well, like Kathy said, be yourself. Kathy, and you, my friend, listening and watching, you're the best. And remember, your best is greater than the pain. Your best days are ahead of you. And that's why Kathy and I are here today. And you can look forward to more ways to fill your sails with hopefully each episode of Plan to Be Your Best Live. Thank you so much. And Kathy, thank you.
Thank you.